Breaking news today: in the event that hostilities persist, the United Nations warns that Gaza could face starvation. The UN has warned that a food crisis could occur in Gaza if the conflict between Israel and Hamas drags on. Catastrophic conditions have befallen one-fourth of the households, or about 500,000 people, according to a United Nations Agricultural Agency. The entire population of the territory, which is estimated to be around 2.2 million people, is reportedly facing severe food shortages, according to Cindy McCain of the United Nations World Food Programme, WFP. No one in Gaza is safe from starvation. Humanitarian access is needed now for supplies to flow into and throughout Gaza and for civilians to safely receive life-saving aid. On Thursday, the United Nations Integrated Food Security Phase Classification (IPC) released a report evaluating food security in areas hit hard by natural disasters and armed conflicts. According to it, the quantities of commodities, including food, allowed to enter the Gaza Strip are largely insufficient, even though trucks have been transporting supplies into Gaza from Egypt for weeks. The World Food Programme has calculated that only 10% of the food that is required is actually making it there. Wednesday marked the first time a convoy transporting humanitarian supplies from Jordan had entered Gaza via Israel since hostilities began. Meanwhile, the United Nations Security Council is attempting to reach a consensus on a vote requesting additional aid for Gaza. The wording of the text has caused a delay of several days in the vote, after expressing widespread concerns with an earlier version of the resolution that called for a ceasefire, which the U.S. is opposed to because it would only benefit Hamas. The U.S. has now voiced its support for the most recent draft resolution. A new draft has been prepared with the intention of expediting aid, and it is stated that relevant parties, including Israel, will be involved in this process. It does not demand a quick cessation of hostilities, but does urge the utilization of all delivery routes. A very strong resolution that is fully supported by the Arab group was how U.S. Ambassador to the UN Linda Thomas-Greenfield characterized it. Conflict in and around Gaza, meanwhile, shows no signs of abating. 4 individuals, including the head of the newly reopened Kerem Shalom crossing, were killed in an attack that Hamas authorities claimed occurred on Thursday at the Rafah crossing, which Israel was accused of attacking. The Israeli army has remained silent regarding the alleged incident, similar to the week-long ceasefire last month that resulted in the release of hostages. Talks were underway in Egypt to establish a new ceasefire. They were dealt a blow on Thursday, though, when Hamas announced it would not consent to the release of hostages in return for a partial truce until Israel agrees to end the war. Palestinian groups have rejected the prospect of releasing more hostages, according to the report. Israel maintains its goal of destroying Hamas and has thus far rejected a permanent ceasefire with the group. When Hamas breached the heavily guarded border with Israel on October 7, killing 1,200 people, they captured over 240 Israeli hostages. As part of the ceasefire last month, 110 hostages were released. This week, Hamas claimed that over 20,000 had been killed in Gaza during the 10 weeks of fighting.